on Mother's Day, we heard from her, and I was like, this is something I would like the younger ones to hear. So she's also here tonight, and we're going to have a good time. I believe we're going to have a good time. I want you guys to interact. I know you don't do much interaction, but tonight I want you to talk. Ask all your questions. Your parents are not here. They're not going to find out. So ask all your questions. So we're going to have 2 sessions. We do have a lot of panelists, so we divided them into 2. So we're going to have 2 sessions with 4 of each of them. So for the first session, we're going to have Miss Esther. We're going to have we're going to have Sandra. And we're going to have Caleb as a representative of you guys up here. Okay. Okay, so this is how this is going to work. We have a couple of questions that we're going to use as icebreakers. So I'm going to ask the questions, and we're going to have a conversation about it. So if I ask a question and they're talking and you have a question about something that they say, just put up your hand and let's ask the question and interact. Cool? And with my panelists, is it? Okay, yeah. So with my panelists too, if someone says something and you have a different opinion, I don't like to say if you disagree. If you have a different opinion, you can also chime in and bring it up. It's like we're going to be passive aggressive here today to keep the conversation going, okay? All right, so my first question that I want every one of you to answer is tell us a little bit about you. I'm going to start with Who's.
So, I'm not sure if most people know me, but my name is Hussein Frey. I'm a twin. Fraternal twin. We don't look alike. Different mindset. Trust me. Yeah, it's that bad. I'm a senior system engineer in AT&T. Been there for the past 12 years or so. I went to NJIT. Spent most of my childhood in Ghana. Came here in 2000, I think. Give or take, and pretty much been here my whole life. It's been a good journey. Different lifestyle, different mindset. People say you have to travel to know what goes on in other places, and that's what it is. You have a mindset because you're stuck at one place, but once you travel, your mindset changes, and that's the way it has been for me.
All right, Miss Sandra.
Nigeria. Career, a licensed practical nurse. I work for the Department of Health in New Jersey. I currently just finished my undergraduate in health service management and undergraduate certificate in project management. I am a wife and a mom of 3. I don't know what else to say. That's it.
All right, Miss Esther. Thank you, Caleb.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caleb Arma. I'm 19 years old. I was born and raised in Irvington, New Jersey, but I currently reside in South Plainfield. I go to school at University of Maryland College Park, majoring in kinesiology and information
so now you know them. So, our first question is, and we decided to ask this question because most of them are around that age, and it will be nice for them to hear this. If you should meet your 16-year-old self, what advice would you tell them? What advice would you give them? And I like this question because at 16, I don't know, I was carefree because of where I grew up from. I was so carefree. In Ghana, like, nothing bothers you. But here, the 16-year-old kids have a lot of pressure on them. So what would you tell your 16-year-old self to put their minds at ease?
All right, so I would tell myself, don't change, be you. And that's what has made me who I am today. The only thing I would tell myself is, be aggressive at everything that comes by you. You have to take any, and I'm saying it from experience because some opportunities came my way and I overlooked that, thinking, yeah, it will come again, but it doesn't come twice. You have only one chance. You seize it, you think it's good for you, go for it. Even if it's not good or that great, you can always improve upon it. And that's the key thing. Don't change anything else, but pick up those things and run with it.
Any question on that? Okay, Sandra, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
My 16-year-old self, I would tell her to exude confidence in everything you do. I believe that confidence is the key to success.
I would tell my 16-year-old self to build character and integrity. The reason why I say that is because it's at my old age that I learned how to build character and integrity. So building character and integrity at a young age will get you very far in life, and also enjoy your youth days. Just like our first panelist said, take on opportunities when they first come, because some opportunities only come once in a lifetime. Have fun, enjoy your 16-year-old life, because you only get to be 16 one time. Enjoy life, have fun, but the two things I would definitely say is build character and integrity.
Would you like to? Or you would pass?
I'll say something. I'm not too far from 16, but I would say that for my 16-year-old self, I would say, honestly, do more research. There's you're entering so many new stages in life. You're about to go out to college or whatever you're about to do. So I say, do as much research as you can into the fields that you're interested in or anything, and also start praying for your future. The earlier you start, the better it is. Just start praying for whoever, whatever you're gonna do that. Just pray, start fasting now, because you don't want to come to God when you're suffering. You want to be steadfast. So yeah.
Okay, so I would ask you, Caleb, one question. At 16, did you feel any sort of pressure on you to do something? Because I saw somewhere on Instagram, I saw this post from this young girl that said she is only 16, but she feels a lot of weight and pressure on her because she comes from a background that lacks financially, and she's trying to come out of that. So for that reason, she carries a lot of pressure. At 16, she feels the need to know what she's gonna do in the future already, career-wise, whatever. She feels like she has to put that in order already. But like I said, at 16, I didn't know jack. I was just chilling at 16. So I would ask you that question. Did you feel any sort of pressure?
Okay, so I definitely have been feeling pressure since young. I would say my father was pastor, so that's already pressure. And then you just being 16 and on like the internet, social media, it's not even just about where you come from, it's about what you see as well. So like seeing all these influencers and all your friends get like certain things, like, oh, I just bought my first car at like 17, or I'm moving into my apartment at 18. It's like, that's good for you and I'm happy for you, but also it also places some type of pressure, because it's like, now if I don't have anything to flex on social media, it's just like, what is he doing? Like, what's going on with him? So aside from the pressures of like, oh, you have to surpass your father's legacy, it's also pressures of trying to keep up with whoever is doing whatever. So yeah, there's definitely pressure, but I think that there's a way for you to like oversee that pressure, and just knowing that you are you and that God made you who you are and you lack nothing. So I think that just knowing that has helped me to kind of look away from the pressure.
I'm going to add one more thing to it. So one thing that Caleb said was pressure from immediate family. Growing up with people around you who are older, more mature, and more advanced in your life, you look at them as, I need to be better than that person. And that alone is pressure. It's pressure more than, I believe it's more than pressure outside. Because you see these people growing and making all these good decisions, and people, or your parents pretty much, your family looks at you as, you have to do better than them. If not, you are not that great. And that alone is not good. And I think parents will have to step back and say, hey, not everybody is equal. Some people lack certain things. I could lack book knowledge. I have a friend I went to college with. He would never study. He passed all exams. That's him. And that's what he was good at. But any other thing else, he sucks at it. So that alone is pressure for you to say, hey, my brother passes all his exams. I studied the whole time and I can't pass. So that alone is pressure by itself.
I agree with you, but I think us like a little bit older than the 16-year-olds, the pressure that we faced when we were 16 is different from the pressure that they're facing right now. It's way more. They're exposed to so much, they know so much. When I was 16, I was so naive. I didn't know nothing at all, But these 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds know what I didn't know at 16. So like they have a lot of pressure, and I think it's also about the parents understanding that and like being present and making a conscious effort to help them through it. They are faced with a lot of pressure, especially social media pressure. It's a lot.
When it comes to pressure, that's just a part of life. Everything in life is just, ministry is a big pressure. So I would just say, it's okay to fail. Sandra just said something that was very powerful. Our generation today and then, generation today and our generation back then, it's two different generations. You can't, the way you'll put out a fire in 2019 something, in 2002 is totally different. So what I would say when it comes to pressure is, in life anything you do, you're gonna have pressure from your peers, from your career, from your job, even when billionaires pressure. So it's just a matter of us accepting to fail. And I'm speaking for my own self as well. Like, allow yourself to make the mistakes, during the time of pressure, because that's the only way you can learn and grow and then surpass whatever that situation is. When it comes to, nowadays with our youth, I don't think it's more of pressure. I think it's more of wanting to fit in. So, and then it becomes a pressure for them to fit in. So then they feel, it comes to a point where I want to fit in, and it's pressure. It's, like I said, it's not pressure. I say a spirit of wanting to fit in. And then it leads to so much other things. And then we call it as pressure, but it's okay to fail, so.
Yeah, like I grew up with noticing some kids my age who had that pressure to fit in. And I just happened to be one of those that were just oblivious, right? And that actually helps me. It was worked in my advantage. So what I would say is that at 16, don't look at what anybody else is doing at 16. Because 10 years down the line, 15, you look at them, they're still where they are. I know people at 16 that look down on me because of the way I dressed or the way my hair is. And I look down and I'm like, where are they? Those things are materialistic things and they don't even matter. Yeah.
One thing I'm going to say in terms of failure, to be more specific, the parents have to accept that, hey, my child is going to fail. So, and that is a key thing. If a parent do not accept that my child is going to fail at certain things, the child will still be pressured. That parents have to know that, hey, I was 16 at one point. I did something that I'm not supposed to, I wasn't supposed to do, and my kids will do the same exact thing. When they do it, I need to know how to manage it. So I expect them to fail. You're not going to pass all exams. You will fail some exams, which is, it's okay. And that's what the parent, I think that's what it starts from. If you tell a kid, hey, it's okay to fail, I'm telling you to fail now, but when you go home, your mom is there, your dad is there. He or she will not understand why you failed. The expectation of you is higher than what you expect for yourself. So I think the parents have to know that, hey, these kids are going to fail at some point.
I just want to add something. I agree with you to a certain extent. And the reason why I say that is the parents of today, not all of them understand, that and acknowledge that it's okay for my child to fail. Because they're coming from another generation. And we're dealing with a generation where, just growing up in my household, my parents was like, yeah, you have to be like so-and-so kid. You can't fail. Like, it was a taboo to fail. So it's not about the parents accepting. It's about, building a community to help them and educate them on how to accept it. Because nowadays, the parents, they're not going to change. Let's just understand that. And the sooner we understand it and get it through our minds, our parents are not going to change at their age now. They're not going to change. So it's the church, and I say the church and community responsibility to step in and educate them. For example, I had one of my little sisters in Christ that I'm mentoring. She has this big opportunity in King University, and her parents said no. So now I had to step in and tell them, so you want to stop this opportunity where she can get a full scholarship to college just because you're afraid of 8 weeks of her being on campus? Or do you want to pay over $100,000 in college expenses and she's still going to go on campus whether you want it or not and still worry about it? Why not just give her the chance to prove herself now? So it's about, educating them.
I have one more thing to add, actually. Because I know 16-year-old me, if I'm hearing Pamela say, you can fail, accept your failure, I would go and fail 10 times. So I just want to make sure that the message isn't being misconstrued here. It's like, just know that it's okay to fall sometimes, but still hold yourself at a certain standard. Still go and chase your goals. Still make sure that your goals are visibly clear to you. Go after what you want. But we're not saying oh, go and fail every test. Oh, don't go and study. No, go and study. And if you fail, then you fail. But at least you learn something in that process. Just learn to inhale everything that you're doing. Don't place too much pressure on yourself. So yeah.
Any questions? Okay, Nana, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you feel like your parents listen to you?
not dictation, but let's talk about it though now, because like I'm getting older, so now they feel like okay, like I will open up, but it's harder when you're 16 because I think they just want to like always protect you from stuff, but it's like it won't always be that way where they can always protect you or have that shield.
So Nana did say something very important. She said she opens up to them and she's able to have a conversation with them. So the catch here is if you don't open up to your parents, our parents are African, they don't have conversations. My mother cannot sit and have a conversation with me at this age, so I can only imagine. They don't have conversation unless I go to her and I'm like, okay, hey, this is what I'm going through, let's talk about it. Even with that, it's like it's hard to get her to listen. She wants to give me her opinion. I'm like, woman, listen to what I'm telling you. So you have to come to a place where you open up to them enough to get their opinion and understand. One thing that I had to learn with my mother is have her understand that, just to piggyback off what Ms. Esther said, they have a different mindset. The way of thinking in their generation is different from ours. So I had to come to a compromise with her. I know this is how you think, but this is what is happening now, and this is what I'm going through now. So I'm gonna need you to meet me halfway to understand that this is the circumstance I'm dealing with now, and I need you to understand it now. Good? Okay. Yes.
You said they don't open up enough to their parents, which is very true. Sometimes you want to ask your child or you want to have a conversation with them, but the whole thing in America here is different, totally different from back home. Back home, we sit outside for a long time, and then maybe 10 o'clock we all goes to bed. But here, everybody have their own room. So as soon as they see you coming, they disappear. When you are not home, they feel comfortable on their phones, on the TV, on their friends talking. But you being a mother to sit in the living room to talk to them, these kids don't allow you to talk to them. So that's another pressure. It's not only on them, but it's on us. So how can we do that, to make it work? I always think, what will I do for them to be able to gather with me so we can have conversation?
Can I say something on that? Of course, Felix, you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So, I didn't grow up with my dad. I grew up with my mom. And my mom and I, we have a good relationship. Okay, but as I grew, I met my dad when I was like, maybe 12 the first time. Not the first time. My dad left when I was like 5, so I didn't even know who he was. To be honest with you, I met him at the age of 12, first time. This is like a pretty cool guy, but I didn't like him because he wanted me to do certain things whereby I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. I do my own thing. You can't tell me what to do. My mom is right there, so why tell me what I have to do? But as I grew, I kind of had a relationship with my dad. He's more of a friend to me than my dad. I'm able to talk to him about things that I will not even tell my mom. And it happened in a way that he came to me with issues. He wanted me to help him resolve issues. And to me, sometimes parents have to tell their kids, hey, I have this issue. What do you think about this? That means you trust him or her enough to say, hey, can you help me do something? Let me see how you think. Let me see how you handle this issue. And that's something that started with us. So to me, you have to open up first for them to know that, hey, I can open up to you too. You don't expect them to open up to you. Why? Because they're the parent. It doesn't go that way. You have to earn their trust for them to trust you.
It's a matter of building a relationship. Just like he said, he had a good analogy where him and his father. I felt like, when you don't take the time to build a relationship with your child, don't expect them to be comfortable with you. Because it's not going to happen. They're going to be comfortable with other people. And I'm just speaking out of experience.
get all A's.
Yeah, and then growing up, like when something would happen, and I would overhear a conversation with her and my grandmother, and they would get into little arguments, and she'd be like, one day my mother said, yeah, I had to leave the house, and I'm like, huh? I said, wait, but you said, what, you know? You said you never had a problem, but why did you leave the house? And then things like, you know, later on in my adult age, I would look at her and she'll have like little marks on her feet, and she was like, yeah, one day my mom took, you know, like pound nail. She said my mom, you know, my grandmother took it and hit her. And I said, I said, but you said, no, you never got a all of this to say, you know, let's be honest with our kids. Because I have a 9-year-old, and my 9-year-old boy is the questions. So what age did you have me? You know, and you just have to be honest with them. Because if you're not honest with them, you know, it's going to be a problem in the long run. Because it comes to a point where my brother's like, Mom, you're not scared of nobody. Like, you know, tell me what happened. Did you fight it out? Yeah, I fought a lot. You know, but I'm not saying for you to go fight. So just being honest with them, and I think that also will teach them how to build integrity and character, like I said. So just build a relationship with them. Let them know, you know, yeah, you know, I had an issue too when I was growing up. This is what I did too. So a relationship.
I agree with you. I think that we also have to, as parents, make sure that our kids can relate to us. We have to be relatable. It's not till in my adulthood that I was really able to communicate with my mom well. Why? Because when I was younger, I saw her as this perfect saint. And then as an adult, I'm like, oh my, you made all these mistakes. You are not. And that's when I was able to have conversations and confide and open up to her because I felt. Yeah, I felt like she was an actual human being, you know, and not perfect. Because how can you confide in someone that you feel will judge you? And I'm just gonna add to that building relationships is very important. For me, I took the initiative. My mother's the sweetest person ever. Yeah, but it's hard for her to talk, like to have a conversation with me. And as a child, I didn't care. Even as a teenager, I really didn't care. But as I grew up, like I'm gonna be honest, like up until like 2 years ago, I really didn't care. But I had to sit down and I had to reevaluate everything and said to myself, I don't want to have this type of relationship with my daughter. And in order for me to change that, break that cycle, because I like observed the relationships between my grandmother and my mother, and it's the same. They don't talk, they don't have conversation. In order for me to break that cycle, I had to take the initiative to start to build a relationship with her. So I started to talk more with her. She's off on Mondays. I started to take off on Mondays. I call it Mom Mondays. We go out, we have lunch, we spend time. But I try to take the initiative. So I'm saying this to the older ones, like how old are you? 16. Yeah, like at that age, at 16, I didn't want to go to the store with my mom. You know why? Because I feel like she would embarrass me in the store. Because she always had, like, my mom didn't want to wait 2 seconds in the line, and after like 2 seconds, she starts to get flustered, and it's like everything has to stop in the store. So I didn't want to go to the store with her. But in order for you to start to build that relationship with your parent, you want to go out to grocery. Your mom is one of those, hey mom, can I come with you? Just go, talk about random things, and that's how you start to build like your relationship. Not even on Mondays that I don't get off, she calls me like, are you off today? Where are we going? So it's like baby steps. You get there. It's hard, especially with African parents. It's hard, but you have to try and get it out of them one way or the other. Okay?
I have something to add. I think another aspect to building a relationship with your parents, because everybody wants to build a relationship with their parents. Everybody wants to be friends with their parents. But I think that, you know, we all look up to our parents and like how they handle situations. So something that can kind of deter you in your relationship with your children is also the way that you handle certain situations. So if I'm seeing that you're handling a certain situation in a negative kind of way, it'll kind of discourage me from coming to you with my own situation, or like whatever's happening in my life, because it's like, you just did this to this person for being this. So if it's me, what are you gonna do now? Like, are you gonna change because I'm your child, or like? So no. So you also have to make sure that as a person, you're handling situations not so negatively, but like just have a balance. So that way, that your parents, your children can also see that and be able to come to you and open you, like just be vulnerable with you. So yeah.
That's something. This boy is smart too. Hey. So just to piggyback off what he just said, and it's so important what he just said, because I just literally had an experience like that not too long, like probably a year or two ago. The way you answer to things in front of your kids is the way they're gonna answer as well. Because I caught myself very quick at an early stage, me answering to my daughter the way my mother answered to me, and it was scary. So be careful on how you answer to your children as well, even around them, because the way you react is the way they're gonna react as well. So if they're seeing you going off on people, you know, if somebody come and say, you know, Auntie, your daughter went off on me, do not be surprised, because this is what they see. So we have to be very careful with that.
How many of you have had a question, a thought, or something you want to ask your parents, but you never did because you raise your hand? Or were not comfortable at all? Be honest. Just raise your hand. Raise your hand. No worries. You're not going to get in trouble. Like, if they're going to beat you, we'll be there. Don't worry. So, to some of the parents, as you ask that question about how to build that relationship, and some of the panelists and what they've said, as you see, the kids here, they do have things they want to share with you, but they are sometimes hesitant or afraid. So sometimes, like you said, the children have to try to foster that relationship, but it's also important that if you want a relationship with them, you also step forward too, and then be willing to ask them. It's not just about how was school, what did you learn, come and eat, go read a book. Like, that's not a conversation. Like, go read a book till you go to sleep. And I mean, and funny enough, on TikTok, if some of you actually watch it, like, I have my nephew. He brought to me a video of how an African parent thinks of their children. My child is useless. My child is useless. My child fails. And it's like, we laugh now, but that's really the truth. And that's what a lot of these kids think. And so if anything, social media is now a tool for them to express themselves. And when you see these things, as much as we laugh about it, it's the truth. So sometimes, if you parents also take that inventory, take that initiative, look at what you're doing, and realize what your impact is to these children, if you don't want them to feel this way, you have to definitely give them that space as well. Right? Be willing to invite them and say, hey, look, what's going on in school? There's a school shooting. How do you think about it? I heard something about this kid and they got pregnant. What is your thought about it? Here's some of the things you can take away and learn. That way they feel like, you know what, if I hear something, I can talk to me. That's one of the very, very key things that a lot of us would really appreciate.
Thank you. Funny enough, that was just one question. Wow. So, our next question was, and I was like this question a lot, because when you say Christianity, a lot of people just see us as crazy, spooky people speaking some language that nobody understands. So, the question is, despite the stigma of being boring and traditional, what does being Christian look like to you? What does it look like when someone says, I'm a Christian? What should someone see? Or as a young adult who is growing and wants to live the Christian life, what am I supposed to do? And I'm going to give this slight example. I have this friend, we're all going out one night, and she's like, oh, if you guys are going to drink alcohol, I'm not going, no. I'm like, okay, so you can definitely come and not drink alcohol. You can order a virgin drink, and you can still come with us. But when you do that, it's like, okay, now you, the Christian that should have come, and like with your mannerism, with your behavior, drag the other people the 1 out of the 5 is alienating yourself because you think people are going to go drink alcohol in me. And now they're looking at you like, oh, she's spooky. So what does being a Christian young adult in this day and age looks like?
I don't, let me be very honest with you. I don't use the word Christian much because it's something that people just fly around. Oh, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian. Anybody can be a Christian today. But are you a child of God? There's a big difference. There's a big difference. Growing up, I was a Christian. Oh, I was a Christian. But there's a difference. And that today, that is very, it looks very, very different to me. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at a Christian, you expect them to be perfect. Just like the example you gave, you know, a Christian's not supposed to drink, a Christian's not supposed to go out, you can't go to a bar, you can't have a pina colada, you can't take a shot, or you can't. I mean, if y'all want to do that, that's your personal problem. You know, if you want to walk around with your head tied 24/7, you know, that sounds like a personal issue to me. But me as a child of God, I'm going to serve God in his standard, but also I'm going to live life. I'm going to make sure that I enjoy my time, and I'm also going to make sure I apply the standards of God into my time. So me knowing that I'm not saying to go out and drink, you know? There's no problem in going to take a drink. Now the Bible speaks, if we want to get Christian, the Bible speaks about you going and getting drunk. So if you go and you get drunk to the point where my brother and my sister has to hold me, now that's a personal issue. That's your personal problem. But if you want to go out, all 4 of us, we want to go out, or 5 of us, we want to go out, we could take a drink or 2, we enjoy ourselves. But that does not make me less of a Christian. Just because I said, oh, there's a party tonight, I'm invited to, I'm not going to go and grind and whine and do all these foolishness, but I'm going to go and enjoy myself. The other day when was it? Today's what? Friday? My daughter went to a vacation with my cousin. The other day we did an entire TikTok and I threw it back. It's one of them, and she taught me to dance. And one of them, you had to drop it low, and I dropped it low with her. So it's a matter of the way we put it. We can't live life because you're a Christian, because we're so used to seeing people as if they're Jesus' cousin and they're, covered up. Christianity doesn't ask all of that, because you're fooling yourself. You're not fooling God. You're fooling yourself. You're literally limiting yourself, because you can serve God and have fun. And this is what we need to teach this generation today. Yes, you can serve God and you can still have fun, but there's standard into having fun. Having fun doesn't mean going out making your community look bad. Having fun doesn't mean you going out and making your family look bad. Having fun doesn't mean you going out coming back drunk and high and dealing with all type of foolishness. Have fun, but with the standard of God, but still have fun.
So essentially, yes, that's really good. Essentially what you're saying is that a Christian is an imperfect believer of Christ. Yes.
100%. 100%.
I'm going to say one thing here.
Okay.
Thank you. At the age of 16, I don't expect a 16-year-old kid to follow me to church every Sunday. I expect them to make certain mistakes. Not, like you said, there are some mistakes that you can avoid or you should avoid. Okay. And I'm a Baptist. Okay. We have this kid that has been in the church since he was born in the church. At the age of 20, he stopped coming to the church. He said, I believe in God, but I don't want to be in church. The question is, why did he get to that point? Because he was dragged to church every Sunday. He was involved in every church event that was happening. At some point, kids grow out of certain things. I'm not saying you should do what you need to do to get a church to believe and follow Christ. but you don't want to force it. You can lead them into it, but it's something that they have to accept and work with you. And that's a key thing.
I'm glad that you went there, because on Sundays when I sit here and I turn around and I look back at these kids, I'm like,
they don't want to.
They look miserable. That is the word. They look miserable. They're just standing there like worship everywhere. Like sometimes I'm like deep in worship. I turn my head, I look at them, I'm like, bruh, they are not feeling what I'm feeling.
But this is where the community come in and change that. Because I understand what you're saying, but let me play a little devil's advocate. At their age, you know, when you're saying the age of, let's start from 9 up to probably 12, 13, 14, you don't have a choice in your parents' house. You get up and you go to church, because at the end of the day, you still live under their roof. You want to be grown, you get your own place. But at the end of the day, now it comes to a point where, yeah, they come to church, they look miserable. So what is the community doing about that?
Yes.
So let's start creating, you know, programs for them. We know that, hey, you know, 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock is main worship. Let's do a youth service. Let's do something, you know, where, because one thing you don't, and he literally just made the point. At 16, the boy was going to church. At 20, he said, I don't want to go to church no more, because there was nothing to keep him there. So it's a big difference on, I see a lot of people when they say, okay, let me just make it as simple. When you see somebody in the street, it's a lot that keeps them in the street, because it's something every day that keeps them interested. There's a party, there's a type of, you know, whatever amusement. It's something that keeps them in the street, that keeps them there every day, and they wake up every day like, yo, I gotta go. But what is keeping them here?
Yeah, it's
That's
like,
the question.
it has gotten mundane. It's the same thing every time they come. It's
A tradition.
The same thing. They don't even understand half the stuff that's going on in here. So I just feel like she said, the community, the church, we just need to focus more on the younger generation. Because I think back to it now, whatever I know in Christ, I had to learn for myself. I did not get the teaching that, like, some people have churches where, not to say my church doesn't do it, but some churches are like very invested in their youth. They get that personal one-to-one mentoring, or actually I don't want to call it mentoring. Like discipleship, yes, that someone is guiding them as to what to do, like as a Christian, how to grow. Like sometimes till date I read the Bible, sometimes I go, what is this talking about? Like no clue whatsoever. And that's why sometimes they come here and they sit here and they have no clue what's going on. Like I didn't quite grasp it until I was like 25, 26. And nobody taught me. I had to learn for myself. Like spiritual deliverance, all of those things, I literally learned for myself. Like YouTube, like I got to a place where I was like desperate enough. Some kids may not be desperate enough, but I was desperate enough to know more about this Jesus. Like, why isn't there some people think it's old person now? Like I was desperate enough to want to know, so I went to search for it. Some kids may not be that desperate. If the pressure is not applied, they might not understand it. So you might be a parent and be like, I don't know why my kid doesn't want to go to church, or I don't know why my kid goes to church and it doesn't like feel it. Because I see some 16-year-olds, they're into it. But others just like, yeah, is it over yet?
I have something to add real quick. Like you said, like a lot of people have found Christianity for themselves. it's not an intentional thing within the church. Like, our parents will drag us to church every Sunday, make sure you have, I'll leave you, and then they won't leave you, they'll wait for you to dress up. Then you come to church, you show up, you're tired, you're yawning, you didn't have breakfast, you know, you're thinking about every other thing. But the thing is, like, what are you doing behind closed doors to teach these children how to learn to love Christ? Like, it's one thing to drag your children and, like, oh, you're trying to impress all the aunties. Yeah, my son comes to church and yeah, I see him praising the Lord and yeah, he's doing good. But then after you go home and do whatever, you guys are not even talking or discussing about Christ or what you learned in church or anything like that. And I feel like it's very important for you to just be intentional with your children in terms of their walk with Christ. If you're not putting in the effort to take them to practices on choir, Saturday for choir or something like that, or, oh, let's go here. I heard there's an amusement park and they're like gospel filled and stuff like, let's go over there, let's go learn. If you're not doing that, I promise you we're not sticking. Like, when we come here on church and you're telling us to look good for the cameras, I promise you we're looking at the cameras like, praise the Lord. But also going back to just like what a Christian looks like, I think that just knowing that you're different.
Okay, sorry, hold that thought for me, because I think he had something
Oh, okay.
to add.
I really like what you said. It was really spot on. And I know she cut you off about what a Christian looks like. And I know Esther, is that your name? You said being a child of God. I think it goes a step beyond that, having that personal relationship with God. That's what makes you a child of God. Because you can be a child of God and not have a relationship with them. Yeah, you may get into heaven by the skin of your teeth. That's because you're a child of God. But if you have a relationship with them, that's a different ball game. But going back to a 16-year-old, so let me just go back a bit about my life. I grew up in church. Everybody who knows me, everyone in my family, once you're in Orlando, you have to be somebody in church. From a pastor to a singer, instrumentalist, you have no choice. You're born into it, and it kind of happens naturally. Growing up, 16, I didn't care much about church. But what my older cousins, people in church, did was that they would try and get the young ones to do something in church. They'll say, hey, do you want to learn to play the drums? Because at the church, I'm pretty sure you see all the kids run to the drums. You grab them. Say, hey, do you want to learn this? And we actually start teaching them. Because of what they did, I know how to play 4 instruments. They spent time to teach us to a certain point that one time they were teaching me the computer and they said, okay, next Sunday, I'm not in church. You are the one who has to make sure everything is fine. So now I'm like, oh, all these months they've been training me, I can't let God down. I want to go and make sure, even though I go to church, I'm not listening to what they're preaching, I knew that there was a need for me in church to be there. So there was fun things there that kept me accountable, that I knew that I had to be there. So I think, so one thing that we do now in my church, that the younger ones around my age, we try to look at some of the ones who are 16 or 20, and we try to invest in their lives. Say, hey, what's going on with you? And we have real conversations with them. I don't want to be the fake one saying, oh, no. I'm asking the real questions, and we talk about things, talk about problems, things that your mother or your dad would not want to talk to you about. I will talk to you about those things because I've been there before. I'm a real person. I'm not being fake with you. I've probably done worse than a lot of people in this room. By looking at me, you probably can't tell. But I have these real conversations with you because these are real problems that we all face. And once they get comfortable, then the whole school stuff comes in, then boyfriend, girlfriend stuff comes in. Then when you speak to them, they actually listen to your advice that you have to give them. So I think we have to make sure we invest in the young ones because that's where it starts from. Because you can't force a horse to drink, but you can lead them and make it look very beautiful, that it will look enticing for them to drink it. That's all.
Caleb, not to stop you, but Philip, you said one thing that really hit a point, okay? Most Christians, when they want to talk to people, they go with God first. And it pushes a lot of people away, right? We all believe in God. We all expect something from God. But because God has not given us what we asked for, we don't want to hear about him. And it becomes an issue everywhere you go. And I know people that at work, I don't say thank you. If you ask me, how you doing? I'm going to say I'm blessed. And people ask me, why do you always say that? I'm like, it's a new day. I'm alive. I'm here. I have a job. That alone says I'm blessed. And I have this one guy that I work with. He left the company and everything. But before he left, he come and said, hey, what's going on? I'm leaving. I'm like, what happened? He found a news, something new he loved to do. He's leaving. And one thing he told me was, because you said I'm blessed every day when we talk, it changed my life. Because I don't look at things as a negative. No matter what happens, his thing is I always hear you or see your message saying, I'm blessed. And that alone changed my life, changed my attitude. The kind words you say, I'm blessed, that changes people's life. And just a simple gesture saying, hey, how are you doing? Or just a simple smile. To be honest with you, I have a profile picture at work. It's just me smiling. I'm being honest. It's just me smiling. I have messages for right now. This lady message, she's like, anytime we have a meeting and I see your profile picture, it changes my day. No matter what I'm going through, that smile alone makes me happy. So a simple smile, a simple thank you, a simple I'm blessed. You don't have to go to them with God right away. Get to know them first. Get to know what they are going through, and then bring God in. If you go with God right away, most people will push back. Most people will say, yeah, I've been through that. I've seen that. I don't want to hear it. And that's what a lot of people do. And winning souls is a key thing. We have to find ways to win souls.
Thank you. Okay, Caleb, you can make your point.
Okay, because of time, I want to be short. But yeah, back to just like what being Christian looks like. I think it touches on with what everybody said, like knowing God for yourself. Like, if you don't know God, eventually all this forcefulness, like between your parents and your aunties taking you to church, you're going to eventually stray off because you don't actually know God. So it's also just like a desire within your own heart. Like, do you actually want to know God? If you come to church and you figure out that you're not actually learning anything from church, go home, go on YouTube. There are plenty of pastors who are uploading, and you can find something that like resonates with you. I pride like myself for being a person who's so grounded, or like who says that they're so grounded, because you know you never know if you're really so grounded. I pride myself for being somebody who like has a strong foundation with Christ, because like when I go to school or even when I'm here, like my friends who don't necessarily go to church, they know on Sunday 10 a.m. Caleb, you cannot reach him. Caleb is at 1138 Grove Street. Like, you cannot mess with Caleb. Like, my friends, when they're making plans, they say, okay, let's go outside of the weekend because we know that Caleb is. So it's all about an image thing as well. Like, just knowing when you go outside with your friends, you can go outside with your friends. Like, nobody's saying like be restricted, go and wear scarf to come and cover. No, like, you can be who you are. However, just know that you serve a living God, and you shouldn't be like indulging in what other people are indulging in, because you know one day you have to get somewhere as well.
Okay. I always say be a slave queen with substance. Like, when you dress up, look good, live your life, but with substance. When people encounter you, let them know they've encountered someone. Like, I'm just going to use my experience with Miss Esther here. Like, I met her once and I was shook. Like, the whole drive home, I was telling my mother, I'm like, I'm obsessed with this young woman. I'm obsessed with her because there's something about her. Her aura is just sweet. Like, when people encounter you, let them feel that way. You don't have to go and pray, lay your hands and pray for someone for them to tell you're a Christian. The vibe that you give off alone should say it. Like you said, like, the word Christian is even overrated now. Like, everybody's a Christian. Let them know that there's something good about you. Slave queen with substance, slave man or king with substance. Like, show up, look good, live your very best life, but with substance. And on that note, we will take a 10-minute break. You can go back there, grab something to eat.
Thing to say to round up.
Just
Piggyback what you said. They say integrity is who you are when no one is looking. You are in church, you are being taught every day. There's something that sticks. When you go to school, your mom is not there, your friend, your dad is not there. It's you and your friends having this conversation, you're being rowdy. That is when what you have been taught in church should come to play. It doesn't matter where you are, how many friends you are, how bad the friends are. You being a child of God and being a child of your parents, bringing you to church every Sunday, it should show. Even when, you know how kids can misbehave and someone is just passing by and it's like, I saw these rowdy kids. But they can point out and say, that guy in the blue shirt was standing there quiet. So be a well-rounded and grounded
child of God, so that even if you are not wearing a t-shirt that says I love Jesus, your actions will prove that you are different from your friends, whether you are in a pub, whether you are in a club, whether you are in a football field. Everything about you should be different, but you are still enjoying the fun. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will take a 10 minutes break. We will come back at 8:30. You can go back there, grab something to eat, drink, and come back. Yes.
We are going for a mocktail. Integrity is who you are when no one.
Control. A lot of me come more control. Control. I for no bigger control. Okay. Time for Bob on the Pampro.
My God, oh. And it be what? And it be so that my God, the way you know they take me play at all, and the way you show your love, make I concentrate. I need to reciprocate, yeah. Now your matter be my case. I'm so willing to give you what you want, to strengthen the love between us. I apologize for taking so long. Now I want you to know, this trip,
Hello. Hello. Intermission's almost over. You can come back to your seats and get your drinks. Right. Intermission's ending. If everyone could come back, kindly come back.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi, hello. If you all can please start getting back to your seats, it is 8:30, so we can begin part 2 of our panel. If everyone can please get back to their seats. Thank you.
Welcome back from the quick sabbatical. Today I'm dropping my SAT words. So for our next session, we are going to have Felix, Janelle, Eddie, and Nana. Okay, so unfortunately we're very pressed with time, so we'd like everyone to introduce themselves quickly and shortly.
Hello everyone, my name is Janelle. I'm married, I'm an RN and an occupational therapist. My name is Janelle, I'm married, I'm an RN and an occupational therapist. I'm Jamaican and I'm cool.
She likes to think she's cool.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Felix, and I am a senior regional population health manager for Hackensack Meridian Health. Born and raised in Ghana, came here when I was 12, had my core training in Ghana, but I am more Ghanaian than American, even though it did not look like it, but I am.
Hi, everybody. So, Eddie Mingo. Born and raised in the U.S., but I identify as a Ghanaian more so than American. I'm an IT audit manager for TD Bank. I've been doing audit for almost 10 years now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nana. I'm 21, a rising senior at Carnegie Mellon. Check you out. I study mechanical and biomedical engineering, and yeah, I'm super happy to be here today.
Please, can our parents keep quiet back there? The noise is coming from the parent section. Can you please keep quiet? Thank you. Okay, so we are going to zoom into the mental health area with you guys, because lately there's a lot of mental health wahala going on. I tell myself I take one mental health day every week. So the question is, how do you think Christianity and mental health goes together? I don't know if I'm putting the question well, but so let me give this example. As Ghanaian, I don't want to say Christians because we've debunked that. As people that believe in God from the African community, we do not acknowledge mental health. We feel like it is non-existent. What are your opinions on that? Can you pick up your mic? Thank you.
Mental health and mental health disorders, diseases are real. I have the same perspective like Ayeli, because Jamaicans, being in a Jamaican Christian church, you know, there's no such thing as being like schizophrenic or being anxious, having anxiety or depression. They always tend to feel like it's a possession of like spirits and demons and stuff, right? But there's a thin line. It comes to a point where if you see that you're being anxious every day and it's affecting your work, it's affecting your livelihood, right? I'm not saying you're not supposed to pray, you're not supposed to fast. But if you're praying and you're fasting, you also have to do the medical part of it. You also have to go and see a psychologist. Maybe you need some medication. It's okay. The problem is that in life, we look at other diseases and we could fix it with medication, but when it comes to mental health, it shouldn't be fixed. You should just deal with it. So if you're here and you feel like you have anxiety and it's affecting your schoolwork and it's affecting your ability to sleep, or if you feel like, you don't want to live, you have to do the Christian part of it, of praying. Sometimes you have to bind it up. You have to say the devil is a liar. But you have to, if you get diagnosed and you have your meds, you have to take your meds. You can't just say, okay, I have a heart condition. I'm not going to take my meds. I'm going to pray every day and my heart is going to be well. You have to take your meds. You have to eat the right food. It's the same thing with mental health. So that's my perspective.
So I personally think mental health is almost a taboo in the church. You cannot even mention that. It's so overlooked because you are expected to be okay all the time. No matter who you are, you're strong in Christ. Be strong in the Lord. Yeah, and there's a problem with that too. There's a problem with the church telling me to be strong, because that's one pressure that can make me break and have a mental health problem. I'm certain these are real things, because like I told you before, I grew up in the church, and these are pressures that I grew up with, and it took me to be in my late 20s to be able to deal with these problems, because it's been pushed down on you, and you have no choice but to try and please the older ones, because if not, then you have failed your parents and stuff. But I think it's a real issue that once in a while it should be discussed in the church. It can even be a preaching topic. There are examples in the Bible of mental health stuff. You may not look at it the same way, but they are. I think it's something that we should really look at it and discuss it, because a lot of us we do have mental health problems, from anxiety attacks to panic attacks to you even having memory lapse. It's some kind of mental health, and it's something that we really need to look upon it, because if not, we all see the problems that are happening around us, from the schools to the hospitals and everything else. So I think it's a real issue that needs to be addressed.
For me, I would say mental health is definitely a big thing. And coming to church is always an opportunity for everyone to get together to really talk about them, to really talk about how it impacts the community. I know they talk about prayer without supplication is pretty much void, in a sense. It's pretty much not going to help you. And I think when it comes to mental health and Christianity, it's something you have to really think about when it comes to how does the lifestyle you live as a Christian really balance you out, and how are you then thinking through and actually processing what you're doing in your life and the challenges and the stresses that you're dealing with in society, and how is Christianity helping you balance that? Because Christianity is also a vehicle in order to help you get through from point A to point B. It's not necessarily law, but it's more of a model. It's more of an idea. It's more of a way to guide you. You know, there's many examples like, you know, Felix just narrated in the story about just some of the things that people go through from mental challenging issues. And you have to leverage Christianity to help like guide you on that. It's not going to necessarily be like, if you don't do these things as a Christian, then you have a problem. Or if you have mental issues, then you are not fit to be a Christian, or you're below or beneath any other Christian. That's not really the case. It's really more of Christianity can help you get through the challenges that every human being lives through. And even to Felix and to Janelle's point, it's really important to think about how medicine can help you. And Christianity talks about discipline, talks about accountability. You have to be accountable to yourself. Your body is your temple, and how you treat it, how you take care of it, including your mind, is really important. So how you infuse Christianity through all of that is really going to be key. And if you do have questions, who do you go to talk to? It's not just also that you need to know, you're expected to know at 16, 12, 18, 20. You are still going to learn. I even still ask questions, and I'm 31. You know, and I talk to Felix, I talk to Ayele, I talk to whoever, and I even don't mind talking to kids and people younger than me, because there are some people who also have learned things from their own parents, from their own teachers, from other institutions that have helped them, and it could also help me. So it's really important that you're always eager to look to seeing how you can actually have Christianity guide you, help you. When you are getting your meds, definitely take them. If there are things that you need to do, appointments you need to keep. And if you're young and you're feeling like you're struggling with something, be open to actually exploring how mental health mental practices like psychologists, psychiatrists, just talking to your parents, talking to someone you're comfortable with and you trust can really help you. That's really important, because just like Christianity, you go to your pastor, you go to an elder in the church, you go to some of the leaders, you talk to them. In mental health, it's the same thing. You go to someone who's a professional, you go to a leader that can help you, guide you. So there's some parallels, there's some similarities. It's just important to really understand them for yourself.
I agree on the point that Africans probably, their perspective on mental health is that it's not real, or it's a little bit demonic. But I think that's just due to lack of resources in Africa to help like these mental health disorders. Unfortunately, due to socioeconomic factors in Africa and lack of infrastructure, there's just like no support for that. So unfortunately, then they have this idea that mental health doesn't exist, but it does exist. And I think that like treating it is two sides of the same coin. Like you have your prayer, your spiritual side, because these things like do have a spirit behind them, spirit, depression, anxiety. And then you have your, I guess, I don't want to say like worldly side, but your physical side that you're supposed to help yourself. Like I guess with David, he had like depression of some sort when he was going through that time, and he would cry out to God and he would pray a lot. But I think David also, like, he played the harp, and I think that was therapeutic for him in some way. I don't know, I'm assuming that playing the harp was some sort of therapy for him. So I think that you have to coincide both of them together.
So just for the little ones here, when we talk about mental health, we're not just talking about like someone is crazy, someone's talking to themselves and all of that stuff. Like, you not being able to go to sleep at night is a sign that something is bothering you. You just not having interest in something that you love to do is a sign that something is wrong with you. And you need to talk to someone. Might not be your parents. You can talk to your parents. You need to let your parents know that, okay, something is going on. I need to talk to somebody. And it's essential because your mental health will make or break you. It will do damage to you if you do not take care of your mental health. I personally, I am a stickler for both. I will pray about it. I will cry out to God. Like my mother will tell you, like she's always like up at night doing something. But when you wake up in the morning, you have to go and do your part. Because until you wake up to take a move, God is not gonna come through. You have to get up and make an effort before you see the change. So it is essential that when you know your body, when something is not right, you know deep down within that something is not right and you need to seek help. It is essential. I'm going to repeat this over and over again because I've seen amazing people just go down the drain because they did not take care of their mental health. It is very important. I'm going to move to our next question, and then I'm going to ask if anyone has like something to add on. It says, how do you feel about pastors filling the gap as therapists? Should we seek them or should we go out for professional therapists? Anyone could answer that. It doesn't have to be just the panelists. Yes.
Just to piggyback before I answer that question, also parents is welcome. Sometimes the young ones don't know what a mental health trigger is. So you have to kind of find, you have to, that's where it comes to a point where you have to pay attention to your kids. You gotta know your kids like the back of your hands to know that they have some type of anxiety issue, or, because you can't just see a kid not interested in something they don't like and all of a sudden it's a spirit. No, it can't be a spirit. Everything can't be the devil. So we have to be very mindful of that. And also, you know, as a future counselor, to be a therapist, therapy is very real. I am in therapy myself. I have my own set of therapists. Therapy is very, very, very important. Back in the days growing up, if you go to therapy, you're crazy. You're labeled as a psycho or whatever it is. But nowadays, you need to find somebody to talk to somebody. You don't feel like you want to go pay to talk to somebody, find a corner, find a tree. Just talk, because I've out of experience, you will lose your mind. You will literally go crazy if you don't talk. So find something, but I definitely encourage therapy. You know, find you a good therapist. It doesn't have to be Christian. You just have to be somebody that knows what they're doing. So find, you know, because we have this tendency of, yeah, they have to be a woman of God, and they have to, no, they're in there, they were licensed, they took the state board test, they got their credentials and everything. Find somebody to talk to. It's just like, if you go to a hospital, you're not gonna, and you're sick, you're not gonna say, give me a Christian doctor or give me a Christian nurse. So let's use wisdom.
That's right.
Yeah.
I agree. So I think there's a really fine line between the pastor giving therapy and a professional therapist. Being somebody who's been through therapy myself before, the church will always use the Bible, and at times I don't want to hear Bible stuff. I want to hear real life stuff actually affecting me. Once maybe I get through this stuff, you could add the Bible, which will supplement to make me better, but I think there's a time and a place for everything. If you really think you need help, please do get the real help that you need. The pastor will always be there and help you pray, and you can keep them in the loop. Doesn't mean that you are forsaking them, but you actually do need help if you need help.
Any thoughts, inputs, opinions?
I actually support pastors being therapists for the fact that sometimes in my life, you know, I feel that it's very good when I'm able to run to my pastor and my pastor is not judgmental and have that neutral mindset, but then after that conversation, he's able to pray for me and like really, you know, like cast demons or the devil. Because if you go to a therapist, they'll give you, you know, they want you to talk, you know. they sometimes don't really want to give their opinions because they want you to make your decision. They're just there to listen to you, right? But after they listen to you, you have to go back and make your decision. Now, if you have a pastor and the pastor give you that neutral mindset, but then give an opinion that is spiritual, that you pretty much have a foundation on, that spiritual advice that they give you will help you to go forward and tackle, because in the school system, you have your social workers, you have your psychologists. You could talk to your psychologist or write it in a book. How do you feel? Cry about it. Compared to if you have the prophet. There's several times when I was going through nursing school, I felt like I was losing my mind. I feel like I have anxiety and I need some meds. I'm going to be honest. I've told the prophet before that, prophet, I'm losing my mind. And if I went to a psychologist at my school, they're going to write me a prescription and I'm going to be on that med. I went to the prophet and I'm not on a med. Do I have anxiety? I'm fine. So before you go to a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor, because in their head, all they know is medicine. I could fix it. Let me write you something, you take it. Go to your leader in the church. Leaders should learn to be a therapist. Learn to be neutral. Go to your leader in the church. Talk to your leader, Talk to somebody you could trust. They're gonna listen to you, but afterwards you want that person to say the devil is a liar. You are not sick in the head. You ain't got no anxiety, and you're not going on no meds. So I support pastors, Sunday school teachers, leaders, being a little bit of therapist every now and again to support.
Okay, we have a couple of hands. So we're going to start with in the back.
He first rightly said, it's a fine line to walk. It's not actually absolute, and I get where Janelle is coming from. But it is good when pastors are trained as counselors and therapists, that you will get them 100%. But when it comes to real mental issues, you need a counselor, you need a therapist. And just as you said, after you go, you can have both. I can go to the therapy and still come to my pastor, because both are very important. And I'll say something here to shock people. I suffered depression. Serious. I didn't even know, but it's shown at my work that there was something wrong. My room was a mess. I mean, it's still a mess sometimes. But I didn't want to shower. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to pick my calls. I wasn't listening to music. Our house, everybody listens to me. I didn't want to hear anything. All I wanted to do was just sleep. That was all. Sleep, eat, that was all. And I was screaming in my head, but I couldn't bring it out because so many things were going on. And I knew I was shabbily looking all the time. I know people probably would have noticed. I'm not a big dresser, but I knew that I downgraded totally. I had to scream out. I told a friend, and a friend was like, oh, that COVID thing that happened, you still have access to this so-and-so doctor. Go talk to him. And I had about 4 sessions with him, and it was good. But above all, prayer. Because that's one tool we as Christians, we have in our bag that others don't have. So that even if you suffer depression, mental health, at the end of the day, you can still go on your knees and pull that tool out. When I was going through that, I couldn't pray. I couldn't pray. Anytime I try to pray, I just cry, which is normal for us Christians sometimes when you are deep in that hole. But it continued for so long, I was like off. But in the end, through that therapy, it was prayer that brought me back. Because you realize that when you are grounded in Christ, the waves will come, but they can't overflow you. They will try, but prayer is the tool that you will always pull out. And that is where you need your pastors. But you need counseling and you need certified therapists to help you.
And I just wanted to add, again, these things are always supposed to coincide, and your pastors are always supposed to be a resource for you. They're supposed to make it so that you feel comfortable to come to them all the time. And I think the pastors should also try suggest I have some numbers for a counselor, and I think you should try. And just for a sidebar, also praying and do the work also coincides. The Bible says in James, the tongue is very powerful. So if you say every day, I'm anxious, you will put that on yourself. Some days I'd be I'm so tired, and I was just so fatigued. But if you sit with someone and you talk with someone and you say out loud with your tongue, I will overcome this in the name of Jesus, or I will overcome that in the name of Jesus. And then you start to feel empowered in your spirit. And this could be anybody, close confidant, a youth mentor, a parent, if they are open to doing that with you. Finding someone that you feel comfortable with to be vulnerable and take suggestions from them and also be able to pray with them will be really helpful.
No, my question is for the young ones, because I see a lot of young faces in here. We're talking, but I feel the English that we're speaking is a little big for them. So my question is, for the young ones, what are your signs? From everything you just heard, do you ever feel like you had a mental breakdown or a mental, problem or anxiety or any kind, and what did you do, or what do you thought it was? Was it just a phase? Was it just, because I'm interested to find out, because we're sitting here, we're talking about all of these things, but when we come to realize for them, it's people for this young lady right here, but I don't think it's settling. I don't think it's settling for us, 16-year-olds. I'm sure you guys can comprehend it and understand what mental health is, but for people for example, my daughter, it came to my 9-year-old, it came to a point where she was just not interested in certain things, and I caught it on early night, and I called her dad, and I was like, yo, you need to talk to her, give her a call, come pick her up, find out what's going on. And come to find out, my baby was being bullied, and she had that anxiety of not wanting to go to school. So therefore, I just want to ask, do y'all feel like y'all had that experience? Do y'all feel like, y'all had a problem where you had anxiety, or, because it comes in different ways. It can come in ways where you just don't feel like doing anything. It comes in ways where you're sitting down and you're overthinking stuff. It comes in ways of where you just don't want to talk to nobody. You have, even attitude is a mental problem, a mental illness. You catching an attitude for any little reason, your parents tell you, yeah, don't move that, and you're like, why are you telling me that for? That's, something is wrong. So, I want y'all to speak up, because this is for you guys, this is for you guys. This is, to help you guys and build you guys, and so y'all can be stronger. So I want y'all to engage, because I see I don't know if it's just me, but the English is too big for them, So I want y'all, let me talk a little hood to y'all, so y'all can understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. I want y'all to really, really, really seriously take the time and understand what is being said, because I want you to lift up your heads while I'm talking to all of y'all. I want y'all to really understand what is being said here, because at your age, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, y'all are going through a lot behind closed doors, and nobody here, and I can guarantee you, facts, no cap, that y'all are going through a lot. I'm sure y'all have little diaries, you smirking, so
Y'all got little diaries and y'all talk to y'all little friends and whatever, but I want y'all to be, I want y'all to take this serious, and maybe one day you can do something again where the parents are not here. Please pardon me, because it comes to a point where they need to, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm looking at it in the spiritual side. There is a huge amount of depression in this room, and it is very thick. It is very, like, I'm sitting up there, my spiritual eyes are open. It's not funny. It's very serious. So y'all are not understanding what's going on, and that's fine, because, you're not comprehending it as much, which is very fine. But I just need y'all to engage, ask questions, talk, If you don't understand something, ask, like, what does this mean? Because mental health can come in a lot of ways, Mental health, like, you feel like you can't pass that test and you start crying. That's an issue. You understand what I'm saying? You feeling like your friends are abandoning you or somebody's talking about you. That's also a problem. So let's take advantage of these things and let's ask questions. Yeah. It's not, I understand. Yeah, I understand, Auntie, but the thing is also engaging. I understand, but one thing I don't want is you pick on them and now you're forcing them to talk.
Right.
That's a big issue right there. Because you picking them and you're like, what's your name, sweetheart? Huh? Essie? And I'm like, okay, Essie, what do you think about mental health? So you got Essie sitting here like, you want them to naturally engage. Just like if I was to take Essie outside and be like, let's do a TikTok, and Essie will be, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
So they'll naturally engage. So I want them to be naturally engaging and not being forced to talk or forced to interact, because they're going to leave here regardless, not feeling like they understanding what we're talking about. So I definitely want, you to put something else together where, so they can feel a little bit more comfortable. Not that, we're excluding the aunties or mommies, but we're in a time where these kids need help.
Right.
As a mother myself, I'm speaking as a mom, so I'm speaking for you as well. These kids need help. And it's not that we want to exclude the parents. There are times where my daughter, she talks to people and I'm not there. I don't even want to know the conversation. So,
Yeah, there's also, this is a very good topic as far as this thing is going, the discussion of the youth, the church, and mental health. It's a very broad issue. How do you identify mental health? Who identifies mental health itself? When somebody is going through mental health itself, who identifies it? Is he the person himself, the person going through that challenge? Does he identify the mental health he's going through? No. It's the surrounding, the environment, the people that surrounds the person that identifies the mental health the person might be going through. So that's how do the person realize that because your behavior around a particular person at a period of time, you know the person's pattern of behavior and sees the person's how he lives his life. So if something is going wayward, you can easily identify the parents, the friends, the environment. As in church, the people, a Christian young child identify he or herself with are the people who knows the child, who knows him or her. So they can easily pinpoint that, no, this person is not behaving well, and draw the attention. Somebody can be praying continuously, but he's going through mental challenges. He's losing his mind. He can be holding things and believing things anywhere. It's mental health. Mental health comes in different forms. It's a broad topic. It's a broad issue. So it can come in different forms. It's not somebody, you can be depressed, you can be any form. Anxiety or schizophrenia issues can come in different forms. It depends on the pattern. So when the environment a child lives, it is your friends that you identify as a Christian, as your commitment in the church. The people you pick in the church as a child, or your friends in the school, as they are young and they are going back to school, the people they identify with as a Christian child, those are the people who can easily identify and see their behavior, their pattern, and know that they are going to challenge, and can easily step on the toe of either the parents or so. In the case where pastors or something to intervene, it depends on the pastoral team itself, who have been trained on that level. Which approach is he going to tackle? They can just say, pray. Prayer, the child itself is already praying, but he's going through mental health. So you need to, if it's a medical issue, they have to identify the medical issue and back it with prayer. The church can be a backing, the pastor can be a backing, but you have to identify the issue itself, so whether the child needs a medical approach or not.
I think this is a very hefty topic for us, and Ms. Esther just gave me an idea. When Pastor comes back, we'll have a discussion to see how we can better handle this, because she's right. Like, I look at some of you kids sometimes, I'm like, she looks like she is carrying a heavy load. So it's something that we need to tackle very well. I'll take one question from Caleb on this topic.
Before Caleb speaks real quick, I think the young ones, they're not comfortable with the older ones be here, because their parents and aunties here, and I wouldn't speak if my aunties or somebody who is a guardian is over me. So I think it would be a good idea.
We're gonna do this again.
So we could do it again, or if you want, they can write a little piece of paper, anonymous, put it in a box, give to somebody, and then an adult can read them and then address these issues.
Yeah, or maybe like it just came from, we can have something outside of even the church building. Maybe the church building itself makes them uncomfortable talking about it. So maybe outside the church building without the parents, we could.
Right.
And I think to my next topic that was going to be mentorship, I think that's also very important, because for me personally, mentorship is what has helped me. I used to be a very shy person. I don't talk to nobody. You won't see me do nothing. Like, this is too much for me. But mentorship has really brought out something else in me. So we're going to do this again. Like, we had lots of questions, but we've barely gone through the questions. So we're going to do this again without the parents, so we can get the young ones to talk, because I know they have lots to say. I see them on social media. I follow every one of them. They don't know. I follow every one of them. I see them posting stuff. So yeah, definitely we have to talk about this in depth. Anybody else had anything to say? Oh, Caleb.
I just wanted to stress the fact that mental health is just, it's a hard thing in general. Like, not everybody is comfortable speaking on it. And I feel like you're only comfortable speaking on it because you may have gone through something and you've gotten past it. But a lot of these children here, we do see like signs of mental health. Everybody goes through mental health, but it's so easy to say something when you've gone past it. But when you're going through it, this is why we're so quiet, because we're paying attention. And as somebody who used to be like as young as dumb and just like hearing conversations like this, I would be so quiet, because it's like, am I going through this? Do I speak on this because am I going through this, or like what's going on? So a lot of them might be feeling the same thing. Like, I didn't even think that I was going through anything until I've gotten to college. Like, nobody knows this, but one time I was dropped off at school, and like maybe like a couple days in, I just started crying. Like, and I don't cry at all. Like, I haven't cried since almost a decade. And I don't cry, so I was just crying, and there was just so many stressful factors on me that like I was realizing as I was crying, and it was like, this is all like, it's all been a burden on me, and it's like something that I was taking in, and I feel like the same could be said for a lot of these children here. They're just taking blows after blows after blows, and it's gonna get to one point where they break down. So it's like, not necessarily, like, I feel like low-key, pulling out mental health and, oh, you guys aren't comfortable, or you guys aren't like understanding that it can be a trigger as well, because it's like, we do understand, we know what's going on, however, we just don't want to speak about it because we're currently going through it and we don't know if we want the help right now. So it's like, okay, yeah, the aunties are here, mothers are here, everybody's here, and that could be like a factor that goes on everything. But I think that when you're going through it as well, anxiety and depression, like, it's hard for you to speak on it if you haven't gotten past it.
Anybody has anything to say?
That said, for us as adults in the church, I think we also need training as identifying what is going on with our kids. Because I was just telling Prophet, when I was going through mine, I'm an adult, so I can mask it up. So people at home and at church, they don't know what I'm going through, but I'm going crazy in my mind. But at work, they saw it through my work because I slept not once, not twice, and they know how good I was. So my friend was like, there's something wrong. This is not the Pamela that I know. So it was the people around me at work that saw it, that something was going on. But as adults, even me right now, I've been able to, like, I know when I see somebody, going through it, I can say, this person is going through. How do we as adults pinpoint what others are going through? I know Ayele is not like this. What's happening to her? Can I speak to her? How do I speak to Ayele? How can I get Ayele to open up, to talk to me? So I think we also need training because we are in church. Everything is spiritual. God can do all things possible, but this is reality. So that also, I think the church needs help when it comes to that.
Okay, all right. So we had a lot of questions, but our time is up. So I'm going to go to one of our last questions so we can round it up. It says, what are the things you wish you knew before entering adulthood? And this is more of like for the college students, and I know there's few ones going to college this upcoming one. So what are some of the things that you wish you knew before entering into adulthood? And then on top of that, what are some of the mistakes? This question is personally for me. You think millennials are making with money? So it's a 2-for-1 question. What are some of the things you wish you knew before entering adulthood? And also, what are some of the mistakes you think millennials are making with money? Because like the song says, adulthood is a scam. Girl. Don't grow up. I know when I was a kid, I'm like, I want to grow up. I want to go to work. I always wanted to go to work for some weird reason as a child. But now it's like, I always get anxiety before I go to work. So yeah, so it's an open floor.
I wish I knew that I wouldn't take most of my friends with me to adulthood. Because when I was 16, 15, 17, my friends were my ride or die. In high school, if the crew is shaving the back of their head, I would shave my head. If they're wearing the tight skirts, I'm wearing the tight skirts. But in adulthood, those friends are not here. I can't see those friends. I can't call those friends. So all the friends you guys have in high school that you're feeling pressured to fit in and rock with, they won't be by your side when you get to adulthood. So most of them won't even be there. And I had that issue because I used to trust people a lot and tell all my secrets and, oh, I'm here forever. But in real life, those people will betray you and hurt you. So at your young age, do you. Don't shave your head. Focus on your schoolwork. Don't scull school. Don't do, oh, they're doing the vape, I'm going to do the vape too. Don't do it. Okay, don't do to fit in with the crew, because in adulthood, the crew might not be there. And I wish I knew that, because I tried to fit in and I got the hurt of my life when my friends stabbed me in the back. So don't be like me. Okay. The next thing is about the money.
What are the mistakes you think millennials are making when it comes to money?
We just like to spend, like we just like to waste our money, like, but save. I had to learn the hard way, because if I got $5,000, I can guarantee you, if I got $5,000 and by Friday, by Monday, I got me some shoes, dress. I don't even need it. Some of the shoes I don't even wear, but I just bought it. Just save, nothing is better than having your own money, working your own money, do internships, apply for scholarships. When you get that money, don't waste it, save it. Every time mommy don't have to buy everything for you, yeah, and get away from the credit. Yeah, a good credit card is Capital One. They'll give you a credit card like this, right? Yeah, Citibank. If you want a credit card, Capital One. If you're 19, right? Capital One will give you a credit card, and they'll probably give you $2,000. I'm just telling you. They'll give you $2,000. They'll give you $2,000 to start.
Facts. My first one was for Capital One. They gave me like 500. It was like the next month they are like, oh, here we'll give you an extra. By the time you realize,
Capital One, for real. Capital One, you'll get a credit card from Capital One. But that doesn't mean you should spend all the money and be in debt. You gotta save, you gotta budget, you gotta know what you're doing with your money. Not because the latest iPhone come out, you gotta buy it. Or a Nike for $250, you gotta have it. Or the latest AirPod. We all wanna fit in. I know, we wanna fit in and stuff, but the reality is, 3 months down the line, there's going to be another iPhone. Mm-hmm. There's going to be another iPad. Mm-hmm. You're going to take your Capital One and swipe again and be broke. Another Yeezy. These are all soft life suck you in. These are all material things. I had to learn the hard way, because I don't listen. I like to shop. I like friends and stuff. But now in my older age, I sit back and I say, I'm not wearing these shoes. I'm broke. So it's not worth it. My friends leave me. Just change. Don't wait till you get to my age to make the changes. Just do it from now.
So if I was 16, what was the question again? Can you ask it again? It's not good points. I forgot.
What did you wish you knew before entering into adulthood?
That it's okay not to have everything figured out.
Yeah.
That was one big thing that it was a big pressure on me, because everyone around me had something positive happening. I happened to grow in a family where in the age group I grew up in, I was one of the youngest, and every cousin was doing something nice and they had things figured out. So I figured I had to have things figured out, and now that I'm older, I'm like, it was okay not knowing what to do. So it's okay to mess up on certain things, like you said. It's okay, and you not knowing something will help you actually figure out what you want to do. That's perfectly normal. It's fine. Don't let the pressures of what people are doing affect you. It's very easy for that to happen, but you know what you want to do, and if you don't know yet, keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing, you figure out what you like and what you don't like, and you figure things out. In terms of the money stuff, millennials are muddling the water with a need versus a want. Everything's a need. What's in actuality, what you think you need is actually just a want. What you need is to breathe, not to really do something else. So just figuring out the real difference between a need and a want, and your life will be very simple. If you figure it out easily or sooner, your life will be very much simpler to deal with later on in life.
To the kids, I want to just say, before going into adulthood, I wish I knew that I was important. You are all important. You are very important to your parents. You're important to even us here. that were willing to wait, like come here on a Friday evening. You're very important to even some of the younger kids that see you. It's really important you know that. You may go to school today, you may go to school tomorrow or next year and feel like just another student. That's not true. You're really important. You are who you are, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're amazing, you're unique, you're talented. These things are not just words of affirmation, they're not just words that tell you nothing, it's true. You guys are worthy. Know that. Because some of you may sit here and not even hear those words from even your own parents, from your own siblings, from your own friends. But the truth is, someone in your family values you. And even if you don't feel that at home, know that even in church, you're important. To your leaders, to your friends, it's really important you know that. And I wish I carried that with me going into my adulthood. Embracing who I am as an individual. I like to wear my hair a certain way, it's cool. I like to wear certain shoes, it's cool. You like to do whatever you like to do, wearing glasses, being smart, all those things are cool. You know, being a black person in this country is amazing. It's not just cool, it's amazing. There's a lot of beautiful things about you. Carry that with you, because the sooner you do that, the more that you'll believe in that and not let anyone tell you anything different. They can never look at you and point a finger at you and tell you you don't belong wherever it is you want to go. So I share that with you. You know, the world is a very difficult place. It is very important that you guys know you guys are important. Some of your parents dropped you off here and left because of whatever reasons they have, but know that you are important. That's why they brought you here. That's why you even came here, and we thank you for being here. You're important. To the second question, as far as what it comes down to with millennials, when it comes to money, you know, spending money on designer clothes and everything and iPhones and all of that is beautiful, it's nice. Video games, all those things. Yeah, it's nice, but I'll be honest, you really want to spend it on something worth your time. If you're gonna go buy a computer game that you're gonna work on, spend the money on that. If you're gonna spend money on your talent, something that you really enjoy doing, spend money on that. If it's music classes, save up for that. Tell your parents about it so that they can also help you and invest in it. You know, going to school and reading a book and being book smart is good, but it's not the only thing about you. If you're a good athlete and you want to go buy some cleats to go play a sport, spend the money on that, because you can actually do good things with that. You can actually go many places with that. If you're a good singer, if you're a good dancer, even if you're a good blogger. I know TikTok and Instagram and all these things. Again, blogger, someone who talks about real stuff, not influencing, because influencing is a bit different. Influence, if you're gonna do it, influence with a purpose. Influence with a good reason behind it. Influence people where you know you're adding value to your community, you know, because that's really important. Don't just go and get the technology and do random things that really don't add value or that perpetuate some of the things that people look down upon us. Try to educate people. So I want you to definitely take that time to spend that money on that. Spend some more time thinking about that. Be open to your parents. Talk to them about what you want to do, because those things are important. And those things then carry over into when you go through high school, when you go through college. And when you're trying to get through in life, when you're trying to get your career going, then you start to really build habits in taking your money and investing in where it needs to go. Investing in where you want to be. Investing in the next generation of kids, either your own or your nephews and nieces or someone else's children that you want to help in the church. You develop that habit, you end up growing. And that's what's, in my mind, really important.
Thank you. You wanna? Okay.
Something. Oh yeah. Something I wish I knew before like going into my adulthood, and I'm like only a few years into adulthood, but I guess it's how much your values could actually be shaken as you go to college and as you go into the outside world. Like I really thought like, you know, going to college, yes, I'm Christian, I have arrived, I know, memorize all these verses. And then you get to college, you see people doing all these things, blunts, hard liquors, and like they talk to you about their ideologies on religion or economics or something, and you like start to question yourself, like, oh, like did I get the right teacher? Am I the right? I don't know. So like keeping up with your values that you learn at home and into the church, and like you still have to keep up with that as you go to college, because there will be people who can sway you for real. But I cannot be swayed anymore. And in regards to money, I can talk about money. I am very not stingy, but very frugal, because I know that you know, you have to look at your economic times. Something about millennials, and I'll even go back to say is like Gen X. One thing, like if you know you want to have children, start setting up your college fund, because I'll tell you, I don't like loans, I don't like debt, but here I am.
We don't want to go there, Nana. We don't want to go there.
So knowing you're gonna have children, like I think Gerber Life does something like with college funds. So like just look into it, like, oh, let me research a little bit about college. Like I want my kids to go to college, so a college fund. Another thing, saving is also very important. And I know it's like super hard to save, especially now, like checks are the same, but gas is like $800. So, but even if it's just like $1 a week, like just try it, like 50 cents, it doesn't even matter. Like at the end, you'll see your account and you're like, oh, just 50 cents? Look at me, I got $50. Yeah, DoorDash time, but not for real. Another thing, like I think about retirement a lot, like hopefully when I get my full-time option for my internship, all the words I know is Roth IRA, okay? Because I'm investing in my retirement. Yes. I don't want to work past age. Like I was in college, and like there was this guy at one of our cafes, and he was like telling us about his life, and he was like 75 or something. He said like, oh yeah, I'm still working, I'm 75. And I was just like, oh my gosh, why? Like, is it because economic factors, or maybe he likes it? But you know, I like want to do my part in the world, in the working world, but then after I'd like to like just spend time with family and kids. Like I think it's like a third of our life is spent with our colleagues, our coworkers, so you want to enjoy that after. And I think another thing, like for all generations, is trying to keep up on social media. Like you see somebody with Louis bag and you're like, all right, I'm gonna save this week, I'm gonna go buy my Louis bag too. And it's like that, trying to keep up, you will fail every time. If you try to keep up with somebody because it's not truthful to yourself, you're doing this for, like, it's a facade, it's an image. And then your bank account is a negative, but your Instagram looks nice, but you don't have the money to be doing that. So don't do that. So like be saving, like just even if it's $1 a week or something, and like take financial classes and workshops, and also investing. Like I still have to learn how to invest, Investopedia, Robinhood. I want to get into all that. So learn how to trade stocks, because having more than like one stream of income is very important now. Prepare yourselves for the recession. Peace out, guys.
I know some of you kids are probably thinking like, why are we talking about money and like saving? But it starts at a younger age. It really should start at a younger age. That's something my parents didn't teach me. I had to learn that on my own. But it's essential that parents drum that knowledge down. I know the parents feel like we are coming for them today, but it is very essential that the parents drum that down. Like if you give your child an allowance, let's say $5 a week, you have to let them know that I'm giving you $5, but put $2 aside. It's just that little things that they learn from an early age that carries on. Like for me, I didn't get that. I drove myself into debt and had to learn how to get myself out of it. And one of the biggest mistakes I made with money is I was doing too many things at the same time. I was trying to get myself out of debt. I was trying to save. I was trying to do all lot of stuff at the same time, trying to look good and at it too. So I had to catch myself like, okay, pump the brakes. You're going to have to do one thing at a time. You're going to have to get yourself out of debt. You're going to have to go through a season where you don't have anything saved to your name. Your paycheck is going to have to go to your daily living and getting yourself out of debt. Once you get yourself out of debt, then you start to save. It's just baby steps. But for the kids, you need to learn that at an early age that I have to save. Saving is the goal. If you save, you won't have to get a credit card to buy anything. If you save, you want something, you save towards it and you go buy it. The thing will always be there. It won't go anywhere. It will always be there. So if you want something, you save towards it and you buy it. It's just something you have to learn early. You're going to college, you're going to start working small jobs. Quite frankly, at college, you don't need anything. No. Don't go and feel pressured and be buying things you don't have to buy in college. Save that money for after college, because it's after college when you enter real life. It's when reality will hit you. Because, like, I like to say the fact is that I was a late bloomer. And reality hit, but hit late. And one of the pressures that I faced was my mate had already gone through a lot of phases before I was going through it. So it just hit left, right, and center. Everything was coming for me at the same time. And it took resilience, which I think Gen Z lacks. Resilience. Like, I feel like Gen Z gives up at just like, no, I'm not going to do it again. It's not for me. It is for you. Go with it until like you've exhausted yourself and you know this is not for you for sure. But yeah, one thing that got me out of it was being resilient and just going at it, because I knew deep down that this was for me. So I kept going at it. On that note, we will end here, but I would like to say we will do this again, just by ourselves, no parents. Maybe we'll have a session for ourselves and then we'll have a session for the parents, because yeah, they need teaching too. So yes, we would like to say a big thank you to all our panelists. God bless you all for coming, for taking time out of your busy schedules and coming. I'm telling you, each one of them has an amazing story. Miss Esther here has a book out. When I'm done reading it, it was life-changing. I will pass it on, and I'm going to give it to you to read. I would like all the girls in here to read it. Not that I don't want the boys to read it, but I'm a girl. I can only talk for the girls. So I would love for all the girls in here to read it. So I'm going to pass it on to Nana. And Nana, when you're done, you can pass it on. And then they are available. You can take phone numbers. You can text, call. Quite frankly, all of them are available. Half of them work from home. Their computer is on and they're sleeping. So
me doing that today.
So you can take their numbers. I would like for us to build a mentorship system, a big sister, little sister system, a big brother, little sister system, so that you can learn, you can have someone to guide you, you can have someone to talk to. I will personally have a talk with each of them, and we will see how we can have that work, and also talk to Pastor Fred and see how we can incorporate certain things based on the discussions we've had in here today. But I would like to say a big thank you to all of you for coming here today. Round of applause for everyone. All right, and on that note, we will get Prophet to say the closing prayer for us and give us a blessing before we leave.
So I want to say that I think this evening has been very fruitful, and listening to all the speakers, I think there's a wealth of knowledge here, so we are thankful. And I want to say thank you to all the speakers for coming, for accepting the invitation. And what I want to stress is, we shouldn't be too worried about thinking, oh, they might not be hearing, they might not be understanding. Life is like that. When you are putting something into the soil, you don't see it growing one day.